Choose Peter. Divorce me, or stand here and watch me sleep with him. Those were the words my wife Alisa delivered with a trembling voice, while her ex, Marcus, leaned in the doorway holding the secret that had kept her chained to him for years. What neither of them expected was that I'd already seen the cracks in their story, and that the truth hiding behind that hotel door would tear open a history darker than infidelity. You're about to hear how blackmail, guilt, manipulation, and a single night of violence twisted all three of our lives. Viewers, what's the worst ultimatum someone's ever handed you? And how did you respond? Please subscribe, like, comment, and watch till the ending to share this interesting story to family and friend. My name is Sire Peter. I'm 37, a metal restoration specialist in Charleston, South Carolina. I bring old iron back to life. Gates from the Civil War, lanterns that survived hurricanes, hinges that carried 100 years of knocks. Metal tells the truth if you listen closely enough. You always know which pieces can be saved and which are too far gone. I wish I had listened that way to people. To my friends. To my wife. To myself. Back when all this began, I thought my marriage to Alisa was weathering a simple rough season. We'd had them before, long work weeks, late nights, quiet dinners. But that week felt different in a way I couldn't name. She avoided my eyes. She kept her phone close, face down. She flinched at every message. I told myself she was tired. Overworked. I lied to myself better than she lied to me. Maybe that's why the stranger's text cut so deep. Because even after everything, the betrayal, the blackmail, the police, the divorce papers, I still felt like there were pieces missing. Like the story wasn't finished with me. And if I'm honest, it all truly started the moment I reached into Alisa's coat pocket and felt the cool, unfamiliar shape of a hotel keycard. Room 402 printed in silver. The first crack in the iron. I must have stared at that hotel keycard for a full minute, turning it over in my hand like it might explain itself. Room 402. A room I had never been in. A room my wife had no reason to be anywhere near. My heart didn't drop all at once. It lowered itself slowly, deliberately, like it already knew this moment was coming and had been preparing for the fall. That morning, Alisa breezed past me in the kitchen, the smell of her jasmine perfume trailing behind her like a memory I didn't realize I was losing. She wouldn't look at me. Her eyes were rimmed with the kind of exhaustion you don't get from lack of sleep. A different kind. A guilty kind. But I didn't confront her, not yet. Maybe because I was afraid of the answer. Or maybe because a part of me hoped the truth would be something I could fix, like the bent iron I spend my life straightening. As she left for work, I watched her through the window, her posture stiff, her hand gripping her purse like she expected it to be snatched away. I didn't realize it at the time, but she wasn't afraid of losing the purse. She was afraid of losing control. Later that same day, I found her in the bathroom with the door slightly open. She didn't see me standing in the hallway. She was crying, quiet, choking sobs she tried to smother in a towel. When her phone vibrated, she flinched so hard she dropped it. The name flashing on the screen made my stomach turn even before I fully processed it. Marcus. A man she once described as a chapter 1 burned. Except chapters only stay burned when the past doesn't come looking for oxygen. That night, after she fell asleep, I slipped the keycard back into her coat. I wasn't ready to confront her, not without knowing what waited behind the door of room 402. And the next evening I found. Oh, please don't forget to subscribe. I drove to the hotel just before sunset, that time of day when everything looks a little unreal, too gold, too soft, like the world is trying to convince you it's harmless. The parking lot felt wrong the moment I pulled in. Too quiet. Too still. Even the air carried a heaviness, like the building itself knew secrets it didn't want to share. Room 402 was on the 4th floor. I took the stairs because the elevator felt too slow, too claustrophobic. Every step up felt like walking deeper into a story I didn't want to read. My hand shook as I gripped the keycard. I told myself I just needed answers. Closure. Proof that my suspicions were nothing but paranoia. But deep down I already knew. The hallway smelled like cheap detergent and stale air. The closer I got to 402, the more I heard it, muffled laughter. 2 voices. One of them undeniably hers. I still remember that sound. It wasn't joyful. It was tight, forced, like someone laughing through fear. I knocked before I could talk myself out of it. The laughter stopped instantly. The lock clicked. The door opened just an inch, the chain still on. Alisa stared at me wide-eyed, her makeup smudged, her breathing uneven. She looked nothing like the woman who left our home 2 hours earlier. She wasn't just surprised. I saw it clearly in that sliver of light. She was terrified. "Peter, what are you doing here?" she whispered, voice trembling. Behind her, a man's shadow shifted. And then Marcus's voice drifted out, low and poisonous. Let him in. He deserves to hear it. My pulse slammed in my ears. For a second, the hallway tilted. Flashbacks hit me like punches. Alisa describing Marcus years ago as someone who could twist your thoughts until you believed they were your own. Someone she swore she'd escaped. But here he was. She looked back at him. Then at me. And with a panic I still can't forget, she slammed the door shut, hard. Something inside me fractured. Not a clean break. A splintering. A warning. A promise that things were about to get much, much worse. I stood in that hallway, staring at the door Alisa had slammed in my face, feeling the vibration of it echo up my arm. For a long moment I didn't move. Couldn't. It was like my mind refused to process what had just happened. Her fear, her panic, and that voice behind her, Marcus, confident, almost entertained. I knocked again, harder. Alisa, I said, my voice low but shaking. Open the door. Please. Silence. Then footsteps inside. Not hers, heavier. Marcus. The chain slid. The door opened fully this time, but Alisa wasn't the one standing there. Marcus leaned against the frame like he owned the room, owned her, owned the situation. He gave me that smirk I'd seen only once before, years ago, when he had pulled Alisa aside at a college reunion and whispered something that made her go pale. A smirk that said he knew something you didn't, and he enjoyed watching you realize it too late. Good to see you again, sire, he said casually, as though greeting an old friend. You've got questions. She's got answers. Come in. He stepped aside. Alisa stood near the bed, arms wrapped around herself, eyes red. But there was more than guilt in her face. There was resignation. Like she was preparing for something inevitable. I didn't want you to find out like this, she whispered. Every muscle in me locked. Find out what? Her lips trembled. Marcus cut in smoothly. Tell him the deal, Alisa. She closed her eyes, and when she opened them, something in her had dimmed. You have two options, she said quietly. Walk away, and we divorce. Or stay, and watch me sleep with Marcus tonight. The world didn't go silent. It roared. My heartbeat thundered, my breath shook, the floor felt unsteady beneath me. But the worst part wasn't her words. It was the way Marcus looked at her as she said them. Like he had already won. And the realization hit me. This wasn't her idea. This was something darker. Something planned. Something she felt trapped in. Please don't forget to subscribe. I didn't answer at first. I couldn't. My mind was too busy trying to piece together how the woman I married, the woman who once cried in my arms because she thought losing me would shatter her, was now standing in a hotel room, offering me a choice no sane person would ever speak aloud. Why would you say that? I finally managed. Alisa didn't look at me. She stared at the carpet, fingers trembling. A tiny gesture, barely noticeable, unless you knew her as well as I did. She only picked at her nails when she felt cornered, when she felt owned. Marcus stepped behind her, too close. His hand hovered near her waist, not touching, but close enough to make her shoulders tense. A silent demonstration of control. It's simple, he said. She came to me. Told me she missed the fun we used to have. That's not true, Alisa blurted, voice cracking. She flinched, realizing she had spoken out of turn. Marcus, don't twist it. I didn't. He smiled coldly. Alisa, sweetheart. Remember what we talked about. She shut her mouth instantly. Every instinct in my body lit up. This wasn't seduction. This was coercion. Manipulation. The kind Marcus was infamous for. And suddenly I remembered a story her friend Michelle once told me, a warning I brushed off. That Marcus had a pattern. Isolate, control, break. She said Alisa had barely escaped him the first time. Now I was looking at proof she hadn't escaped at all. Alisa, I said softly, stepping toward her. Look at me. Did he force you here? Her eyes flicked up just for a second. But in that second I saw everything. Fear, regret, desperation, and a plea she couldn't voice. Marcus chuckled. Force? No. Influence? Maybe. Remind her of what she owes me? Definitely. I felt the air shift, heavy, electric, as if the room itself knew something was about to snap. Alisa whispered, almost too low to hear, Peter, please, don't make this harder. And for the first time I realized, she wasn't warning me about the situation. She was warning me about him. And what he was capable of if I stayed. I felt something primal rise in me, fear, anger, disbelief, all tightening into one sharp instinct. Get her out of that room. But the moment I took one more step toward Alisa, Marcus moved faster than I expected. He didn't touch me, he didn't have to. He stepped between us with deliberate ease, like he'd rehearsed this moment, like he knew exactly where I would stand, what I would feel, how far I'd go. "Careful," he murmured. "You don't want to escalate things." Escalate. That was the word he always used when he threatened people but wanted it to sound like he was doing them a favor. I looked at Alisa over his shoulder. She was shaking. Not crying, shaking. Not from guilt, but from anticipation of what Marcus might do next. That tremble wasn't the tremble of a woman caught cheating. It was the tremble of someone who'd been cornered for far longer than she ever told me. Flashback ripped through me, 2 years ago when Alisa woke up screaming from a nightmare. I held her while she sobbed that she never wanted to be someone's puppet again. I never pressed her about the dream. I didn't want to reopen old wounds. Now I understood the nightmare hadn't ended. It had followed her. "Marcus," I said, forcing my voice steady, "step aside. I'm talking to my wife." He laughed. "Your wife? You sure about that?" Alisa flinched. He turned his head slightly, still blocking her from me. "Tell him, Alisa. Tell him why you came back to me." Her voice broke. Marcus, don't make me." "Tell him," he repeated, voice icy. She looked at me with eyes that seemed to plead for forgiveness before the words even left her lips. "He has something on me," she whispered. "Something I never told you. Something from years ago." My stomach twisted. "What kind of something?" Marcus's smile widened, self-satisfied, cruel. "The kind that ruins lives," he said. And in that moment, with the fading sunlight cutting sharp lines across the carpet and Alisa staring at the floor like a condemned prisoner, I realized this wasn't about cheating anymore. This was blackmail. And I had stepped directly into the middle of it. Please don't forget to subscribe. My pulse hammered as the word settled between us. Blackmail. It explained everything, the trembling, the panicked eyes, the resignation dripping from her voice. But I still didn't know what Marcus held over her, what secret was powerful enough to drag her back into his orbit after all these years. I took a breath, stepping sideways to angle past him, trying to catch her gaze again. "Alisa, look at me. Whatever he has, we can deal with it. Just tell me." Her lips parted, but Marcus snapped his fingers, an ugly barking sound that made her jolt. I watched the reflex hit her body like a conditioned reaction. A rehearsed fear. My stomach nodded. "Don't make promises you can't keep," Marcus said. "This isn't some minor sin she forgot to mention." He tapped his temple. "This one? It sticks." Alisa swallowed hard. The room felt colder, like the temperature had dropped 10 degrees. I could see the war happening inside her. Tell me the truth and face Marcus's wrath, or stay silent and lose me. She lifted a trembling hand to her hair. That small gesture broke me. She'd done that the night she confessed her biggest insecurity to me, that she felt fundamentally unworthy of love. That she feared people would eventually see the real her, and leave. "Peter," she whispered, voice cracking. "Years ago, before you and I even met, there was an accident." My breath hitched. Marcus smirked. "Ah, finally." She continued, tears spilling now. "Marcus and I were drunk. I was driving. We hit a man crossing a dark road. Marcus told me he'd handle it. That the man was already gone. That reporting it would ruin us both." I felt the blood drain from my face. She squeezed her eyes shut. "But the man didn't die. Marcus paid him off. And he kept every document, every recording, every message, everything that proved I was behind the wheel." My heart twisted painfully. Marcus leaned in, lips curling. "So you see, she doesn't really belong to you. She belongs to whoever owns the truth." Alisa sobbed, whispering through shaking hands, "I didn't want to come here, Peter, but I didn't know how to escape him." I stared at Marcus, cold, calculating, feeding off our pain. And a dangerous thought whispered through me. Maybe the only way to beat a man like him was to stop playing by the rules entirely. The confession hung in the air like smoke, thick, suffocating, impossible to breathe through. I felt myself drifting, as if I'd stepped outside my own body and was watching the moment unfold from somewhere near the ceiling. Alisa crying. Marcus grinning. My heart breaking and hardening at the same time. Blackmail. Hit and run. A living victim. Evidence in the hands of a man who enjoyed destruction like a sport. Marcus clapped his hands once, sharp, impatient. "Now that the truth's out, can we get back to business? Sire here needs to choose." I didn't look at him. My eyes stayed locked on Alisa, who was shaking so hard the bed frame trembled beneath her. I walked toward her slowly. Marcus moved to block me again, but this time I didn't stop. I brushed his arm aside, not forcefully, but with a firmness that told him I wasn't afraid anymore. His smile twitched into something colder. Alisa looked up at me, tears streaked down her cheeks. I didn't know what to do, she whispered. I've been living with this for years. Every time I tried to leave, he reminded me. Threatened to expose me. Threatened to hurt the man we hit. He said he'd make sure I went to prison. I panicked. I froze. I cupped her face gently. You should have told me. She sobbed harder. I thought you'd leave me. I thought. I didn't deserve you. Marcus chuckled behind me. Touching. But unless you're planning to cry your way out of this. I turned slowly. The look I gave him must have carried a shift he wasn't expecting. Because for the first time since I arrived, his expression flickered, just slightly. Marcus, I said calmly, what exactly do you gain from this? His eyebrows rose. Power. Control. Entertainment. The usual. No, I said, stepping closer. People like you don't waste years keeping someone under your thumb unless there's something else you're afraid of. His jaw tightened. Alisa's breath caught. Peter? But I kept my eyes on Marcus. Because in that tiny twitch of his face, I saw it. He wasn't as untouchable as he pretended to be. And I was about to press exactly where it hurt. Please don't forget to subscribe. For a second, Marcus looked genuinely surprised, not by my words but by the fact that I'd stopped being intimidated. And once that crack appeared in his mask, I couldn't unsee it. His confidence wasn't absolute. It was curated. Performed. A costume worn by a man who needed everyone else to believe he was invincible. I stepped closer, slow, controlled, until only a foot separated us. You're not doing this for power, I said quietly. You're doing it because you're terrified of losing leverage. Without that file, without your secrets, you're nobody. His smile faded just slightly, like a candle guttering in a draft. Alisa watched us with wide, trembling eyes. Peter, don't. But I didn't stop. My mind was running on something sharper than fear now. Clarity. Rage. Strategy. When Alisa left you, I said, she took something from you. Not just control. She took your identity. She proved you weren't the monster you pretend to be, you're just a man who can be abandoned. The muscles in Marcus's jaw flexed. Bingo. I'd hit the nerve. His voice dropped to a growl. You think you know me? I know your type, I said. Men who puff their chests and manipulate women aren't predators. They're weak. And weakness scares you more than losing her ever did. He moved fast, a sudden shove to my chest, but I was ready for it. I staggered back but not far. Not enough to break the stare. Alisa gasped. Marcus, stop. He turned on her. You told him too much. She flinched as if expecting a blow. That did something to me, something violent, something I didn't recognize in myself. The room seemed to pulse like the walls were breathing with us. I stepped between them before he could get closer to her. Touch her, I said, my voice low and steady, and I promise you'll regret it. For a moment, the hotel room was silent. Just the hum of the air conditioner, the thudding in my ears, and the weight of three people who knew everything was about to shift. Marcus's eyes narrowed. You really want to test me, sire? I didn't blink. Absolutely. He exhaled once, slow, dangerous. Then he reached into his jacket. Alisa screamed. And my world snapped into a single burning point of fear. Time slowed the moment his hand disappeared inside his jacket. I didn't see Alisa anymore, didn't hear her scream, just the shifting fabric, the metallic scrape of something hard sliding free, and the thundering pulse inside my skull. Marcus pulled out a phone. Not a weapon. A phone. He dangled it between two fingers with a smirk. Relax. I'm not stupid. Killing you ruins all my leverage. But sending this, he tapped the phone screen. This ruins hers. A video thumbnail illuminated his face, Alisa crying behind the wheel, headlights glaring off a man's crumpled body on the road. My stomach turned. Alisa collapsed to her knees, sobbing. Marcus, please, don't send it. I'll do anything, just don't ruin him again. Don't ruin me. And that's when something inside me snapped, not with rage but with resolve. Cold. Surgical. Dead calm. I walked toward him. Marcus lifted the phone higher. One more step. I didn't stop. He tried to move back but I was faster. I grabbed his wrist, twisting hard. The phone slipped, spinning toward the floor. Marcus lunged for it but I kicked it under the bed with a force that made my toes scream. He swung at me. I ducked. We crashed against the dresser, knocking over a lamp that burst into sparks and glass. He got an arm around my throat. I slammed him into the wall. He clawed at my shirt, I drove my knee into his stomach. The fight was messy, desperate, real. Two men fueled by years of buried hatred. Then Alisa screamed, "Stop!" Marcus froze first, choking on breath, blood on his lip. I stepped back, chest heaving. For the first time all night, Marcus looked unsure. You think that phone was the only copy?" I met his eyes, a calm I didn't feel settling over me. "I don't need to destroy your evidence," I said. "I just need to expose you first." His expression cracked. Because he knew exactly what I meant. Blackmail leaves a trail. And predators like him always slip. Alisa wiped her tears. "Peter, what do we do now?" I took her hand gently. "We go to the police. We tell the truth. All of it. You're not facing him alone anymore." Marcus laughed breathlessly. "You think this ends with me? You have no idea how deep this goes." I glanced back at him. "Then I guess," I said, guiding Alisa toward the door, "that story starts tomorrow." The door clicked shut behind us. The hallway felt colder. And somewhere deep in my chest I knew this wasn't over, not by a long shot. Because men like Marcus don't fall quietly. They drag entire shadows with them. Please subscribe, like, comment and share for more interesting stories.